Welcome to another edition of Real Estate Rockstars interviews with your host, Hannah. We are interviewing real estate experts or those who are related to the industry. Today, our guest is my dear friend and also my business coach, Linda Brown. Linda has helped me in the last, I think, 4 years to strengthen up my business and gave me a lot of good advices throughout the years. So I never experienced crisis, which I did experience in a previous years. So Linda, thank you so much for joining us today. And I would love you to introduce yourself and tell everyone about your powers you have and the knowledge you have gathered over the years.
Thank you, Hannah. It is so fabulous to be here and be part of the Rockstars today. So a little bit about me. I am a financial guru, if you want to call me that. I started off as a securities analyst for a mutual fund company, downgraded a little bit, if you want to call it that. And I actually wanted to work with people. So I became a financial planner for self-employed individuals. And then I stayed home to have children. And it lasted a whopping 8 weeks before I actually started going out and teaching small business owners how to organize and manage their businesses. And one of my clients was actually a brokerage firm, a real estate brokerage firm. And I was the business manager of that for about 9 years. And we had 23 agents in our agency. So it was a fairly large agency. And it was very interesting because during that time, I found out that agents see themselves as agents. They don't see themselves as businesses. So it's been really, really wonderful during that time, actually helping the agents become businesses.
Yeah, well, entrepreneurship is kind of difficult because when you start a business, and it doesn't matter which one, you kind of think like, oh, I'm just gonna help people buy houses. I'm gonna help them to sell houses. Or in my case, I'm gonna help people to stage their homes. But all this magic comes with the price of knowing how to run the business, how to organize the business, how to execute the business, and the list goes on and on. So as I mentioned before, you helped me a couple of years ago to get my business in a shape, which thank you so much for that.
So
And
welcome.
considering that 2022 just ended, and some of you who are watching right now might have the receipts in a shoebox. That's the way I used to have it too in 2019. So let's help these folks, Linda, and let's give them an advice how to prepare for 2022 taxes. I know that with you, we can go in a depth into a lot of other topics, but I find that this one is kind of a hot one. So what would be your advice when it comes to 2022 taxes?
Okay, I actually want to step back before I actually start that one. 2023 is already in process. So my first recommendation is don't get behind on 2023 because that will then snowball into having to get ready for 2023 year end. So I currently already, and today is January 6th, the one we're filming this, I have 50 clients that I help with on doing their business books and their finances. 10 of them are already at the CPA. And the reason I could already get 10 to the CPA is because we kept up on it on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. So if you weren't one of those lucky people, what can you do today to do this? If you have a bookkeeping system that you half-heartedly use, I would recommend spending the weekend and going and just month by month, entering your credit cards, your bank accounts into that system and making sure it's reconciled. The purpose for reconciliations is to make sure you're not missing something. So it's really important that you reconcile. Go through your personal credit card statements, your personal bank accounts. Did you pay for anything for your business as a real estate agent personally that needs to be moved over to your business? Get a listing of those things and make sure that your CPA has them or your tax advisor has them. If you work out of your home, make sure you have a listing of your insurance, your utilities, everything that you pay for your home, internet service, telephone service. Get this list together for the year. Give that to your tax advisor because there's different deductions we can take. Sometimes the deductions are itemized, like in our personal tax returns, and sometimes you just take the annual amount that you are limited to. And you want to make sure that this is being looked at by your tax advisor so you can get the best deductions possible, which means the less income tax possible.
Mhm. You mentioned tax deductible list. Is there any like general list? I think we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago, you and I, in our private conversation. So is there a tax deductible list I can go by and say, okay, I have this, I have this, I have a car lease, I have an office rent, I have all these bills. Is there something what we can use as a guidance?
We can, and if it's possible, we can actually attach it to this interview so that people can have a copy of that, but a general listing of things that we have to do. Now, you brought up an interesting fact, an automobile lease. Tax laws are changing this year. So if you're buying a car, 2022 is like, hopefully you bought it in 2022 because you're going to get better tax deductions in 2022 than you will in 2023. But the difference between a lease and a purchase of a vehicle is the fact that a lease is a business expense. When you stop paying the lease, the car goes away. So 100% of that lease can actually be deducted if the car is used 100% for business. If it's used for a prorated, so you use it for business and personal, make sure that you have that documented for your tax advisor because only a portion of the vehicle can be deducted. Buying it is a whole different situation. We're not going to go into that right now. But things that you can deduct are advertising. If you put Facebook ads up, if you put out a newspaper, if you're in those real estate magazines, all of those advertisements. Automobile expenses, gas, mileage, you're going to use one or the other. If you're doing a mileage, you cannot do gas and repairs. So keep track of which way you're doing. You cannot do both.
What is better, mileage or repairs or gas? What would you recommend?
Usually it is mileage because mileage at this point is like 60 some odd cents per mile. And if you take the average miles per gallon you get times 60 cents, you usually make out better. But look at your vehicles and look at your gas mileage, because if you're doing an electric car, you don't actually have gas that you're paying for, it's electricity and upkeep. So you should definitely make out better. But you definitely always talk to your tax advisor for your specific situations. But other things that you can deduct besides advertising and vehicle, your cell phone, a house phone, internet, if you have an employee or a virtual assistant or a contractor or a consultant who helped you build a website, a videographer who has the drones or the photographs. If you're buying business cards or letterhead, if you're going out and you're doing something like a card situation where you're sending out physical cards, something like that, those are all business expenses.
How about your family members? And I mean, hiring your own kids, which I've done in the past. What is the best way to approach it to have it really tax deductible?
Well, first of all, remember those kids need to actually do some work.
Okay.
But the best idea is to talk to your tax advisor, because depending upon how your business is set up and what type of entity you are, depends on how you should be paying those people. And by an entity, I mean, are you just like Hannah Lifka doing business as? Are you an S corporation? Are you a C corporation? Are you an LLC? Are you a partnership? The different types of entity that you set your business up as will actually depend on how you can put those kids in as an expense.
Oh my goodness. It gets more complicated.
Well, and actually the one big one we forgot, depending upon how you are set up, think about your retirement plan.
Oh my goodness. And you
Because
keep adding it on.
because a retirement plan, depending on what type of corporation you are, can actually be a business expense.
Yeah. Do you think in the future, can we look closely on each of these topics? Because each of these topics can be a whole interview, in my opinion, because you mentioned retirement plan, and some of us might be just scratching ahead, like, I don't have anything set up yet. So, and that's important. So looking back again on the tax preparation for last year, even though it's this year. And I like your approach. Let's look at this year, how everyone will have paperwork set up and a system set up. Bookkeeping systems. What do you recommend? I saw it recently on a real estate Rockstars Facebook group. People were asking about the best bookkeeping system. What's your favorite? For small, medium, bigger business, is there again difference and benefits?
There are. So and I don't remember the name of that one that we were looking at recently that was in your chat, but it was basically a system, and I even actually called up, and they wanted it as a side hustle business. They didn't expect you to actually use it as a full-fledged business. And the difference between that is, as a business, you need a profit and loss to know how much money you made and how much money you spent. Bottom line, net income, what is going to be taxable. But you also want a balance sheet. Do you own computers? Do you own a vehicle? Do you own an office? That all goes on a balance sheet, not on your profit and loss. So if you're only doing half of this, then you're missing pieces. If you ever wanted to bring a partner onto your brokerage firm or sell your brokerage firm, you need that balance sheet. So it's really important that you know not just today's numbers, but why are these numbers going into the system for the long run? Now, the two softwares that I like the best is, number one is Xero, and number two is QuickBooks Online. And why do I put it in that order? Because most real estate agencies are service-based agencies that have some, but not huge amounts of transactions, and they're more paying for expenses than holding lots of inventory. So Xero is about a quarter of the price of QuickBooks Online.
Do you have a number? Give us a number.
About, without checking if they had price increases for 2023, you're looking at about $13 versus about $50
per month.
a month.
Okay.
QuickBooks has something called QuickBooks Self-Employed. Don't recommend it. Once again, that's a side hustle. The bottom level that you would want to get into for QuickBooks Online is QuickBooks Simple Start. And I'm going to always recommend cloud-based versus a desktop.
Why
And
is
the reason I do cloud-based is because in a desktop, you're basically manually entering every single piece of data, every deposit, every single expense that goes through. With a cloud-based system, you're actually linking to your bank account and to your credit cards. So any transaction that goes through them goes into a holding tank for these cloud-based softwares. And then you can tell it where to go. Oh, this deposit was for this, go there. Oh, this expense was gas, go to my gas expense. So once you start looking at these cloud-based systems, it's not paying attention to numbers, it's paying attention to who did I buy it from and what category was it for? Was it an advertising expense? Was it an automobile expense? Was it a utility expense? So your maybe an hour a week of manual bookkeeping would go down to maybe 10 minutes a week of cloud-based bookkeeping. So it's definitely a time saver.
You make it sound really simple. Wow. Okay.
It is simple if you know what you're doing and your books are set up correctly. And that's how I have been helping a lot of real estate agents as well as home stagers, is setting that up and just doing some basic teaching of this is how it works. I was working actually with a home stager yesterday, and she's like, oh my God, I have been paying $600 a month for somebody to do my bookkeeping. And it literally took me 5 minutes to do the entire last month.
Wow, that's power. Do you see what I've learned working with you over the last several years, that knowledge and applied knowledge is very powerful. I used to dread numbers and receipts and the final bills and the profit and loss statements. All of that was like really something what I didn't want to look at or focus or talk about, but you helped me to understand it much better. So you are right about that. So whoever is watching, guys, if you have any questions, if you would like Linda to dive deeper into this topic, please type below, let us know. We'll get her back on the call, on the interview. One more question before we'll say goodbye, Linda. What is the best way to keep receipts? Like, they are usually rolled up at the bottom of my purse or in my car, in the glove compartment, the middle console, in my pockets, everywhere. But I do have a trick you taught me. So why don't you tell us your way how to keep receipts? Because we need to keep them, right? Even though if we do the
Yes.
charge, it gets linked to the QuickBooks online and it is somewhere kept in a system. Do we still need to keep the actual receipt, or what do we do with it?
Okay, so I'm going to back up and then come forward. Most people will keep their bank statements and credit card statements and say good enough. If you are to get audited, though, an auditor wants to see exactly what you purchased, because you can go to Walmart, you can buy tires from your car, you could buy clothing, you could buy jewelry, you could buy food, and you can buy office supply. So just knowing what store you went to isn't enough. The detail is needed in case of an audit. So how do we protect ourselves in case of an audit? It's keeping those receipts. So it depends on how technological savvy you are. I would always recommend putting it into a digital filing cabinet. And there's certain digital filing cabinets out there. A quick way would be like a Dropbox or a Google Drive. If you want to integrate some of those with your bookkeeping system, we can get into that in another conversation, but they do have digital filing cabinets that integrate with your bookkeeping system. Things that Hannah and I can rightfully hear you on. I went into Walmart and I came out with a receipt. What do I do with it? I recommend that you keep an envelope in your car called 2023 receipts. Every time you walk out of a store, you keep that receipt in your hand until you get to your car and you plop it right in that envelope. Then whether you're doing your own bookkeeping or somebody else is doing the bookkeeping, that envelope can come out and be dealt with. Don't let it get into the purse because it gets to the bottom of the purse. Don't keep it in your pocket because it gets crinkled up and it gets ruined. I also, those accordion files is a great place where once those papers come in from the office, from the car in that envelope or in the mail, just file them into that envelope, that accordion file. Now you can do it by month or you can do it by vendor. At this point in time with the cloud-based software, I say just keep it monthly. It makes it easier. It's much simpler. You can get a 13 divider file and just put everything in. Also, a lot of our receipts are now coming digitally over email. Create a folder in your email, 2023 taxes, and any receipt that comes in automatically file to that folder.
Okay.
So I've given you a couple of digital ways. I've given you a couple of paper ways. The thing is, keep your receipts.
Yes.
It's better to have too much than not enough.
Exactly. I'm making some notes for you guys and we will attach it to the interview. Okay, last word of wisdom. Okay. 2022 just rolled over. We are in a new year. Some of us will get a QuickBooks Online, a Simple Star or Zero. Some of us will get a just basic accordion file. How is it with like something what is personal, let's say homes we are renting or living, is there something we can write off? What do we need to keep as a proof of expense to write it off by the end of next year?
So once again, to actually write off something in your home, it has to be a dedicated space. So it doesn't matter if it's an apartment or a house, it has to be a dedicated space, which means a desk in the guest bedroom does not count as a dedicated space.
How come? There's an office. If I have a desk there and I'm working from that space.
Because
No.
it's a multi-use space. It is a guest bedroom and it is an office.
Huh.
So to count it as and once again, your tax preparer is going to stand behind you on whatever you discuss with them. So general rule of thumb from the government says that it has to be a dedicated space and you can only write off that dedicated space.
Mhm.
So my little office here is like 8 by 10. This is what I can write off. This portion of the utility bills, my portion of my internet, my portion of my telephone bill, my portion of my trash removal, my portion of my landscaper.
What
Okay.
landscaping as well? So you take the percentage of the office space, and that percentage of all the expenses can be a write-off or
For the upkeep of the home. So you need to talk to your tax preparer and they will discuss it with you.
Oof, you and I need to talk.
Always.
Okay, always, exactly. Well, Linda, thank you so much for your time and the knowledge you shared with all of us. I would love to get you back on the Real Estate Rockstars, because this topic should not be only once a year, either at the end or at the beginning. I think there are a lot of changes happening constantly, a lot of new systems or smart apps. Can we have you back, please?
I would love to come back. And may I give a final word of wisdom?
Please do share that with us. Thank you.
That nobody should feel judged or bad about themselves because they're not sure what to do in their business, as you were saying at the beginning. You did not go to business school. You did not spend years and years doing this. So how can you know something that was never taught to you? You know, do we put down our little children who haven't learned to read yet because they're not reading books? No, we have to teach them before they can do. So any business owner needs to be taught before they can do.
Oh, that makes me feel much better. Yes, because there is a truth about that. Like in your line of work, you are an expert because you're continuously educating yourself, and there is new stuff coming from each side. And then, you can share that with us and help us to grow and get educated and get better, and then get a better good night's sleep, because we won't wake up in the middle of a night worrying about the audits, and let's not talk about it.
Right. And you know, the thing is, short periods of time are better for anybody to sit down and do something that they don't like than longer periods of time. So would you rather spend 5 minutes a week or 5 hours at the end of the year?
I think the 5 minutes a week will give you more peace of mind throughout the year than dreading the time and setting up those 5 hours. And honestly, I would never have it done in 5 hours. So it would not happen. So, okay. Well,
Well,
thank you
five
again.
minutes a week. Thank you so much for having me on, Hannah. It was wonderful to be here, and I look forward to being invited back.
Absolutely. Linda, thank you so much. Guys, thank you for watching. In case you have any questions regarding finances, bookkeeping systems, anything what struck your curiosity through this interview with Linda Brown, please let us know. And we will, once we invite Linda back again, we can bring out your questions. Thank you for watching. Hannah is signing off. You go and get them. I'll see you soon next time. Bye-bye.